Yeah.
So air travel hacking, I got asked, what is really air travel hacking? There's so much stuff to talk about. I've been doing it since, I don't know, probably 10 years. And air travel hacking for me is everything from sneaking away in the lounge, getting free food in the lounge if you want to. It's probably not what I need to do because I'm trying to get lounge access anyway. But it's also like if you're getting a certain seat on the airplane, which is usually better than other seats, and on some seats you can actually like physically hack the seat, and even if Lufthansa doesn't sell you a fully flat bed, you can work around your way on the seat, just like pull a couple of levers, and suddenly it turns into a fully flat bed, if you know what kind of seat it is. So that's also air travel hacking. Then there's frequent flyer miles, lots and lots of stuff you can do with frequent flyer miles. I'm doing it, but I'm not doing it to the same level that some other guys are doing it, that I know that it's like buying miles for money and then just redeeming ridiculous awards, which is really fun in business and first class, because usually in business and first class you get more bang for your buck if you're doing that instead of compared to economy. Then there's credit card churning, which is essentially mostly done in the US, where you get, when you sign up for a credit card, you get a couple of gifts. Like even in Germany, every euro I spend, I get a mile from my frequent flyer program, Lufthansa miles and more kind of stuff. In the US, when you sign up for a credit card, sometimes you get 50,000 miles. You do that twice, and suddenly you have a free ticket, business class, US to Europe and back. So just for signing up for a free credit card, sometimes there's some deals involved. You have to spend some money, that kind of stuff. And then you have to like terminate the contract, and then there's like people that are doing like 10, 15 credit cards at the same time, and watching like their credit cards go. So that's not what I'm going to talk about, but I'm more going to talk about finding cheap fares, how to get around, getting on a flight but not paying as much as the airlines probably want you to pay for the flight, and in general just like finding cheaper fares. Bit about myself. I've done voice over IP stuff since 2003, built Freenet.de, the voice over IP service that we had there. Was pretty nice. Now I'm working since almost 2 years with a small startup in Hamburg doing quality management for voice over IP, looking at all those nice kind of small RTP packets, like 10 million packets a second. You build RTP streams, do quality assessment, and try to sell that to tier 1 carriers, which is apparently working pretty well for us right now. In my spare time, I'm a travel addict. So I should have updated this because now I'm more close to like 600 flights and 29 times around the globe. Right now I'm doing like more than 100 flights a year. Only been denied entry to the US once, which is kind of nice. But I've done trips like Hamburg to New York on Saturday and back on Sunday, back into work Monday morning. No question asked. I'm doing that. If you want to see the flight maps, OpenFlights.org is a pretty nice tool. Just like graph statistics on where you're actually flying. So that's, I'm an addict. As I said, airfare, how do we actually build an airfare? Like if an airline announces they're going to make a sale, what kind of rules are involved? How do we make the fare? How can we figure out, can I actually book this stuff? That kind of thing. How do the reservation systems work? How do we find bugs? And then I'm just going to show one interesting bug, which is usually dubbed the fuel dump, or sometimes the airfare. Should you at any point during the presentation have any questions, just pretty much ask, throw stuff at me, I don't care. We have the time. I'm gonna take more than now because I have 73 slides. Oh, you already have? Oh my gosh.
You should throw stuff. So.
Yeah. I gotta do marshmallows because before you start throwing bottles or anything, you better throw marshmallows. Even though they are pink and they might look kind of funny on the video afterwards. Okay, so introduction. First of all, we have service classes. That's the kind of stuff you know. Economy, business first. Sometimes you have like products in the middle. That's essentially what's marketed to you as a customer. But internally, you have booking classes. It's dirt cheap economy, flexible economy, and all those different booking classes have different names. In general, F is for first class, C for business class, Y for like full fare economy. M is like also used for economy most of the time, but essentially the entire alphabet is used for different booking classes. Sometimes you can see stuff, if you for instance go on United.com, you can see this, and it kind of gives you an overview on how booked a certain flight is. And if you're trying to book a cheap ticket, you're looking like towards the right end if there are more seats available, if the numbers are higher. This means there's 9 seats available in full fare first class. So if you're willing to dish out lots of money, you can definitely get a seat in first class. Like discounted first class, if this was, for instance, like Lufthansa United, there's only 4 seats available. They're not selling 9 seats here just because they believe. They just have to sell 4 seats on the discounted first class, and they would still be able to sell more expensive seats in first class. So they don't want customers to just grab the cheap seats and then fly the plane around all the cheap seats. They want to make money. That's where they have different prices. Interesting to know, when we're coming through the fare basis later, the first character of the fare basis always represents this, which is nice, because if you have a fare basis and somebody just messes up the first character, suddenly you get bumped from economy to first class if it happens. Can happen, and it actually does happen. More terminology, I'm going to use this throughout the presentation a couple of times. Operating carrier, marketing carrier, that kind of thing. Operating carrier, obviously, Lufthansa owns a plane, they sell you a ticket on that plane, and they're actually operating the flight. Then it could be a marketing carrier. For instance, if you're looking at KLM, they have like KLM Cityhopper, the smaller planes connecting all the smaller airports like Amsterdam or Paris. And it's a regional partner, sometimes outsourced, different country for different regulations, different wages. Like Lufthansa had a carrier in Italy because it's way cheaper to operate out of Italy than it is to pay some German wages. But still, it's marketed by KLM, but it's somewhat like a different airlines. KLM Cityhopper, Lufthansa is like Lufthansa Regional, Lufthansa or Augsburg Airways, similar. There's dozens and dozens of small airlines, but essentially they're all the same airline. Then we also have codeshare flights. On the transatlantic market, for instance, the Star Alliance, which is like the alliance of United, Air Canada, US Airways, Lufthansa, they are all selling seats on their system for the other airlines as well. So there's like 10 different flights a day between like Frankfurt and Chicago. And if you go to the Lufthansa site, you don't only just see the Lufthansa flights, but you also see the United flights. And you can also, if the flight times are more convenient to you, just get on that United flight. And usually Lufthansa would sell it as a Lufthansa flight, but in reality it's a United plane that's actually a United crew, but they're just marketing as a codeshare flight. Then we also have terms like plating, issuing, validating carrier. If you have a ticket, for instance, with United and Lufthansa on the same ticket, one of those carriers actually has to issue the ticket. What used to be the paper ticket and what now is like the electronic ticket you have. Apply all the rules, collect all the fares, the surcharges and everything. They have to have one carrier issuing the ticket, and that's usually called the validating carrier because that carrier makes sure that you actually comply with all the rules, and is also plating the ticket on what's called the ticket stock. Ticket stock is like the ticket number you have, it's like, I don't know, 12 characters, digits or something, and they have a prefix, 3 digits. United, for instance, is 16, American Airlines is 1, Lufthansa is 220, and if you just look at the ticket number, you can see on which carrier's ticket plate the ticket will issue, who actually looked at all the rules and made sure that the ticket is valid. If you now look at one of those tickets, just a random ticket, you can, looks like it's actually Lufthansa flight out of Hamburg, flight number 1, which is always nice. Unless you look at the boarding time, 5:45. But this morning was 5:15, so it's even more. But it's a Lufthansa flight. You see Lufthansa flight number 1, but it's ticketed on United ticket stock. So I bought a ticket, probably on the United website, but it contained a Lufthansa flight. It will probably continue on to the US or something. And it also shows the booking class. I mean, it's economy and it's booking class S, which is one of the cheapest booking classes at that time you could get. And they also show, oh, the same flight that I'm on is also marketed as a code share on United with some random flight number. There's lots of people are asking like what the other numbers are. Usually in the upper right corner somewhere you have what's called the sequence number. I was the third guy to actually check in for that flight. Usually you only get those low numbers if you're checking in like 24 hours advance when the flight opens up for check-in online. If you go to the airport like an hour before the flight and you suddenly see a number like 250 there, 250 people already signed up for that flight. If you see the plane only has 200 seats, there's going to be lots of fun. I mean, if you have status, you can hope for an upgrade. You can also go directly to the car and say, do you need volunteers to take a different flight? I'm happy to take 600 euros just to be somewhere else a day later if you're going back from vacation. I mean, I don't mind spending another day in vacation and earn money for that. It's interesting to look at the number. If it's just like in the 60s, 80s range most of the time, the plane doesn't indicate that the plane is full, but sometimes if the number is really, really high, stuff happens, yeah.
So would you recommend arriving just a minute before the official last moment to book your flight, because the chances would be bigger that it's overbooked and they need to offer you an alternative?
You probably don't need booking, but like checking in for the flight.
Sorry.
It probably doesn't apply because there's now really strict rules about who's getting the upgrade and who's offered. Like this shows, for instance, senator status, so which is like the second highest, or the highest star line status, but the second highest in Lufthansa. But usually that's a pretty good chance, depending on the booking class, to get an upgrade. Okay. And if you don't have any status and you show up late, you might just end up getting like the crappy middle seat in the back. So you should at least try to get a seat as soon as possible. And sometimes I'm gambling. I've been pretty lucky gambling, just like canceling my check-in if I see that every single seat is taken, and then just show up and say, oh, I want a seat, and there's no seat. I can show you the tickets later, but you can see how the process actually works. If you don't have status, chances are probably higher that you actually get bumped off the flight because they claim, oh, you've been here too late. Even if it's just a minute, if they tell you you've been too late, then it's actually your problem because you didn't show up for the flight, as far as their opinion goes. So they just give your seat away.
Okay, so if you have status, then it might be useful to turn up in the last minute before the official time.
There are some, usually if you're looking at like domestic flights, often it says, it doesn't change on this ticket, but it says something like, oh, okay, you have to be at the airport, you have to check in 45 minutes before the flight. Because what happens is, especially if you're talking about a remote station where you only have like limited crew doing check-in, and it's the same crew that does check-in where they take your luggage, check you in first, and they also, the same agents also show up at the gate.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially the flight moves from this regular just check-in procedure to what's called usually gate control, where you have like flight manager and one or two agents working the check-in or the gate, and they can do whatever they want. They're moving people around that they have to. They're bumping people and.
Yeah, be nice to them.
Yeah, being nice to them sometimes helps, and sometimes just like, okay, just leave me the information here and yeah, do whatever you want to do, and sometimes you just get lucky. I mean, I usually don't try to press my luck on just getting upgrades, but I've been pretty successful last year getting upgrades anyway, so. Okay, this is a different ticket. It's on United paper. It's just because it's United paper in the background doesn't say anything about how or why or where I booked it. In this case, that's my frequent flight number here, so that's the ticket stock. It's again United, and it actually says coupon number 4, so that's the fourth flight on that ticket, because the ticket can have like up to 16 different flights or something. It's multiple. That's the PNR, passenger name record. You can just look up your entire itinerary and everything. Also, it's again, it's Chicago to Minneapolis. First class for whatever reason. And like senator status maps to LH star G, with like Starlines Gold maps the system, so just like random whatever information. Whatever, I mean, boarding starts 7:34. That's whoever wants to come up with that idea. Well, 7:30 or 7:35, but no, 7:34.